everyone. Hello everywhere across America. That's a little bizarre for me to be on the air at this hour of the day. But I'm trying to gain some audience here by trying different time slots, different days. And I'm just doing this here on Spreaker today. Basically trying to do is work on a time slots that would fit even on days when I'm not going to be home at a certain time. And I'm trying things like Thursday afternoons. Thursdays I go to the Church of Christ and help out with cleaning and stuff. And I do various other things. And one of them is, of course, as I told you before, I just got a new studio at the church. It's a brand new radio studio. My friend Brian hooked it up, set it up for me at the Clinton Church of Christ. And it's really cool. I can actually broadcast from there. But the problem with that is, at this point, I get a really lousy signal at that church because I think the Wi-Fi has a long way to go before it gets into where our studio is, which is just off the fellowship hall. So it kind of makes it a little bit complicated getting a really decent signal in there. My friend Brian, he's got a antenna plugged in to pick up the Wi-Fi. And that antenna is okay, but it's not. I don't think it's strong enough to really pull off the signal off the Wi-Fi. Now, I don't know. Maybe we can get a signal increase at the church. That's possible. Not saying it isn't, but it's possible. I'm not saying how that will work, but we'll see what happens there. But yeah, it's going to be kind of cool because we could do some different things up there. I've already been talking to our pastor about a program in which I was going to interview him. The other day, about a few weeks ago, a friend of mine died. Her name was Verna Unger. She was a friend. He was actually a wife of a friend of mine that that his name is Gary Russen. He's a kind of songwriter. He's done a lot of songs. We've played a lot of his songs here on GJRB, and actually very good with the songs. But he's been going through a rough time at this point. A prayer for comfort with him. Because it's a tough situation when your wife dies, and he's going through a rough time of it. So we're going to kind of give him a prayer there that things get better for him, and he can do this and get through with it. He's planning on moving to Illinois, which I guess is okay, but I don't know the benefits he's going to get there. But, so be it there. Tomorrow, though, we're going to be on the air live at 3 o'clock Central Daylight Time for another Gary Russen program. Got a great show lined up for you tomorrow. I just got word just before I decided I was going to go on the air tonight for a little bit. Sarah Huckabee Sanders has just stepped down as press secretary about a few hours ago. She was, I guess she's going back to Arkansas, and I guess they're saying that President Trump seems to think she'd be a good governor of the state. So I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. And what's been kind of interesting lately has been the earthquakes in the eastern side of the country, especially Cleveland, Ohio, which is kind of the start of the Midwest, I guess. Cleveland, Ohio had that earthquake on the weekend, which registered, 4.0 on the Richter scale. Coming in close behind it was one yesterday, which registered 3.4 on the Richter scale, situated in central Pennsylvania, in a community which I think is Amish community, and I guess it's not far from State College. And that earthquake was a rumbler. If anybody near my hometown felt it, I might have Ben Osman on Saturday, live at 3 o'clock Central Time. The Gary Russen program Saturday Extra will be on the air, and Ben will be my guest for another show. Ben Osan has been on for a while on our program, and it'd be kind of great to have him back. I'm going to ask him if he felt those two earthquakes, especially the one in Cleveland, if it was felt, because they said it was felt clear into Pittsburgh, 4.0, a magnitude. So we'll talk about that. I think that would be kind of an interesting topic, because earthquakes are a interesting topic for me. I find earthquakes, and I know it's kind of a morbid thing, but actually it's not. It's something that really we should learn about, because earthquakes are a interesting phenomenon, kind of like tornadoes. Tornadoes are also a fascinating thing for me. I find them fascinating, and I watch a lot of videos of storm chasers. I love to watch those, because I like to watch I like it when the videos they show, and they're videoing, you see the tornado form. It's absolutely incredible. It's fascinating. I mean, it's nothing like the movie Twister, which, quite frankly, is just computer generated. It's not real. But it's still an absolutely incredible movie. It's one of my favorite films. And I really enjoy, I like to watch it. It's a great movie. So, we're going to talk about that one. And other things, so I hope you'll stay with me. Just going to kind of stay on the air for about an hour or so, or until my wife gets home. She went to a ladies' function at our church, at Church of Christ tonight. And so I kind of spend the evening alone. I thought, why don't I just go on the air for a little bit while I have the chance, just at least an hour, talk about what I'm going to be doing tomorrow on the program, and see if there's anybody out there, especially since I've been testing to see. First off, as you know, I've been doing is running the console offline for a certain amount of time to give myself extra time on the air without having to flip it over, right? So what I'm trying to do is maintain it so that I can do hour by hour. So what I'm doing is I'm setting the brakes up, so like my local brakes on my 9-foot side, to correspond so that the segment ends close to the top of the hour. Now, the last time I did it, which was the show yesterday, it didn't quite make it. Although the second hour ended 4 minutes shy of the top of the hour. So I thought, well, I'm going to try something a little different tomorrow. What I'm going to do is have a break at 21 minutes past the hour, and another break around, I'll do another hard break at the bottom of the hour, which is usually what I do. And then we'll go straight and see what happens. I know those breaks will be too close together and I don't get that much audience anyway in my first hour, if I get any at all. But I'm trying to, again, separate hours by expanding my 45 minutes into an hour-long continuous podcast. If I can do that, then what I'll do is be able to do hour by hour. Part 1, of course, like I said before, represents the first hour. This is what represents the first hour. If I were to do part 2 of this, part 2 would be the second hour. And then the final part, of course, is the third hour. So all I'm doing really is separating the hours out and trying to divide up the hours so that I know in the show, especially with my music shows, where I put weather on the 5s and where I can catch weather on the 5s and know where it's at. So when I go into Audacity and change it or take it out, I can have the length of the weather on the 5s first off, give me an idea. Then I can use that weather on the 5s. I can take that weather on the 5s out and have a weather on the 5s pre-recorded before airtime, which would just be the first hour synopsis. As you know, I always do that. The second hour, I do live temperatures. And the third hour, so the second and third hour, I probably do live temperatures. And usually in the second hour anyway, I broadcast the weather segment, especially in areas where there's severe weather while I'm on the air, especially areas like wherever there's severe weather. Like, for example, if there's a bad storm there's a bad storm in let's say, for example, Louisiana or any of the southern states where they've been getting severe weather lately. Well, then I'll have an idea, where I put that, I'll have an idea, because usually the weather nations are about 5 minutes. The meteorologists talk for about 5 minutes about weather situations, and it's usually getting an idea exactly where the storms are at. So it's usually 5 minutes, and I have a 5-minute weather forecast in the second, usually the third hour of the show. Otherwise, usually in the final hour of the program, I do a local Clinton forecast. So I do the local Clinton forecast, and that's usually about maybe 2.5 to 3 minutes, and before I wrap up the show. But I just wanted to see how this would work if I were to, because I'm going to form it. I'm doing this so that I can have an idea how that's going to work, and then I can make it into a program log to indicate exactly where I can turn it over to part 2 and have the news coming in there. And be able to just flip before the top of the hour. So that's just exactly what I'm doing. And I don't know how it's going to work. I mean, I'm just testing it right now and seeing exactly how that's going to work out. Big shout outs tonight very quickly. Would go to my friend Mike Myers, saying hi to him. He does a great show every morning, 7 mornings a week, called Radio Hope, a Radio Hope Network. Send me a message. Yeah, you're right. Actually, Mike, you're right. I mean, really, I guess I would kind of get bummed out every once in a while when I don't get an audience on this broadcast. And so what I did was I took this, and I was so happy when Spreaker just kind of started this distribution thing and make it so that I can put this show on Spotify, which is absolutely fabulous, that I could broadcast on Spotify and see if I can get an audience that way. And so I am doing that with some of my programs. Putting it on Spotify to gain some audience. Now, I'll try some other ones too. iHeartRadio, they're picky. I don't know if they'll even put me on because the fact that I play, copyrighted songs at times. I don't even know about this one, although they've been keeping me on, even though I did throw a copyrighted song in yesterday. But technically, I got hit with it on YouTube, and that was anybody out there by Young Mister, which I play on this program. It's a new emerging artist, new music that I've been playing on my show, but I'm not sure exactly how old that song is. But I play quite a bit, and then I just like to see what it's going to do as far as how much audience I get from this broadcast, how much, where am I going to get, what my listeners are going to be, and like I said, I guess I just get kind of bummed out because it's not that I don't like, I love doing this work. I love doing my radio shows. But it gets hard once in a while talking to myself. It really is. It gets frustrating at times because I could be sitting here. And not only that, your nephew, Blake, has told me on a number of occasions that he's not getting my shows at all on my Facebook. It's not coming up on anywhere. And I go to my Facebook page, and the only thing I see as far as my shows are concerned is what I post. And it seems like my auto post is not working. Now, I probably could go back and adjust it in my settings. And I've done that. Okay? But for some apparent reason, I'm still not coming up on Facebook. Now, I'm wondering if anybody else sees a posting of this. If anybody's seeing a posting of this broadcast that I have on now, let me know. I want to know if I'm being heard. That's the whole idea right at this point. That's why I'm doing this. I want to see if my post is showing up on other people's Facebook pages. Okay, so this is another reason why I'm doing this, other than the fact that I'm going on to see, Spotify, and seeing how Spotify sees it, because it's great to be on there, because at least as Spotify, I'm getting some kind of audience, maybe. Maybe someone's discovering my program on Spotify, and that is pretty much what I'm hoping for here. And that's the reason why I'm doing it, to see what audience, if I'm being discovered if anybody's finding me on Spotify. Now, tomorrow when I'm on the air with the Gary Russen program live at 3 o'clock Central Daylight time, 4 o'clock East and 1 o'clock Pacific, noon in the Alaska in that area. If you're listening, if you're hearing me, or if you're seeing my postings, I would like to get some feedback on that, because I'm not sure why I'm not, my show's not being posted, and I'm almost to this point where I'm thinking about starting another Facebook account. Under a different, try something like that. And the GJRB online page on the Facebook, can't do anything with that, and I can't reach people because they want you to pay a certain amount of money to boost the show. And quite frankly, I think that that's just plain ridiculous. If I want to get an audience, why should I fork over that much chunk change just to get people to listen to my program? And that is why I'm kind of aggravated at this point over this, because it really is a downer trying to get on the public sites when I'm not getting any audience whatsoever. So, basically, that's what it is. Also, I'm working on a video for the GJRB TV YouTube channel. I'll talk about that coming up. And see what else is on the way as we continue. This is a preview of tomorrow's show, the Gary Russen program. Tomorrow afternoon, live, 3 o'clock Central, right here on GJRB Online here on Spreaker. And I will be right back with more in just a moment.
You hear great jazz on GJRB with the best of jazz, up-and-coming jazz, and smooth afternoon.
If you can't get enough of jazz and you live in the Quad Cities area, tune in to KALA, St. Ambrose University in Davenport, Iowa, at 88.5 on the FM dial. Along with some of that great smooth jazz, you'll hear a lot of great jazz programming.
And programming in other great music formats.
Like blues, urban, including rap. Also classic R&B and Motown with David Baker on Rewind, Friday nights at 6 p.m. Central. In addition, you get programming in Spanish and some great gospel programming too. For more information on that great programming you'll hear, check out their schedule at www.sau.edu/KALA. Even if you don't live in the Quad Cities area, you can enjoy KALA anywhere in the world with their internet stream. Connect with KALA. Listen and enjoy.
You hear great jazz on GJRB with the best of jazz, up-and-coming jazz, and smooth afternoon.
If you can't get enough of jazz and you live in the Quad Cities area, tune in to KALA, St. Ambrose University in Davenport, Iowa, at 88.5 on the FM dial. Along with some of that great smooth jazz, you'll hear a lot of great jazz programming.
And programming in other great music formats.
Like blues, urban, including rap. Also classic R&B and Motown with David Baker on Rewind, Friday nights at 6 p.m. Central. In addition, you get programming in Spanish and some great gospel programming too. For more information,
and alongside the beautiful Emma Young Park, easy access to everything Clinton has to offer, just south of 13th Avenue North at Mill Creek Parkway. It's a great time to get into your new home. Come out to Mill Creek and we'll build your dream home for you. At Mill Creek Crossing, we're building a future for all generations. Stop out today at our sales office, open 7 days a week.
Okay, right here is where I would come in and do the weather on the fives if I was back on the air here. Now, technically, I'd be doing the commercial breaks at 21 past the hour and 30 seconds. So that'd be like 3:21:30. And then we would come back and do a weather forecast. Now, I might shorten that break just a little bit, but there is that. And I'm just playing around to see how this is going to work. Now, I came back with 20 minutes left, according to this. It was, let me see here. Looks like, about 21:30. So giving me 21 minutes and 30 seconds left on the comeback. So that would mean, let's see, if we go with weather on the fives, do a little preview, what's coming up on the show. And then I would drop in and do news headlines, which would be what I do next. Caramel Conservatives here. How you doing? Thanks, Ed. Now I want to ask you a question, if I may. And this is only because I wanted to. How is that showing up on your Facebook page? Does it show up? Does it come up? Because, again, Blake Myers, who's Mike's relative, told me that he can't find my shows anymore. And it seems like when I go into my Facebook page on my main page, where I go into where it says, where I click onto the picture of my profile page. And I'll go into my profile page and my posting's not there. Absolutely not. It's like it just disappears. And I don't know why. And I just kind of frustrated because I'm going, why is this not working? Why am I getting no postings? Okay, I get notifications via email because I have your show on my favorites. I also see when you post on the Meet the Spreakers group. Okay, great. As I had mentioned earlier, I joined Spotify. I am now having the Gary Russen program is available on Spotify. This way, maybe I could gain some audience that way. I joined the other day. I just kind of took the Gary Russen program I did yesterday, which was the 12th. The Gary Russen program on the 12th. That was the first show that I did on Spotify live. Now I don't know how that works. Maybe you can tell me. Am I live on Spotify, or is that just a podcast that is heard later? I mean, am I on live, or I don't understand that. And second of all, I'm wondering if I could join any other ones. And are they going to be picky if I decide I want to play a copyrighted recording? Because that was my concern about joining these in the first place, these platforms. Let me check, okay? I'm going to stay on the air. I'm not going to go to break. I'm just doing this to play around tonight. My wife was at a ladies' function at our church, and so I'm just kind of goofing around. What I'm trying to do is see if I could take these breaks and divide my show up into hours instead of, okay, I think you're also on Google Podcast. I might be. They said I was pending, so I don't know if they sent I haven't really checked on that side to see if they had sent me a link, because I know that that's how I got on Spotify. And like I said before, I'm not even sure I'm going to even go on iHeart unless I do shows without playing copyrighted songs. And I would have to have a full show where I get guests on the air and stuff, so I don't play no music. And if I do, I'd probably be emerging artist and songs that people never heard of. Something like that. Because I don't know how picky they are about that, as far as licensed music. Now, if they're licensed, absolutely great, then I won't worry about it. But I really hoping that I can get on that. And if I can, that would be absolutely fabulous. I've been wanting to get on a platform like that. And when I saw that and I think, are you on there, and Huber? When I saw them on there, I thought, well, I definitely should just join this platform, because maybe perhaps if I join this platform, I could get some responses. And I think also when I joined the 3-hour plan, which, like I said, I got to wait till July now, we're putting aside in our budget so that I can upgrade up to the 3-hour plan. Now, as I told you, I already did some stuff at our church studios. I see you are on Spotify, but I do not see your current live on there. So I'm kind of wondering then if they just put it on after I get off the air or something. I don't know exactly how that works, but I'm going to keep on sending the link and see what happens when I get on my show. And like I said before, I know the thing about it is that I go offline like that for like about maybe 5 minutes. And that's only to try to increase my time on the segment so that I could I could be on for an hour without having to flip. And divide my show up into hours. Part 1, that you're seeing now, I don't know if I'm going to stay on this long. I'm only going to stay on maybe an hour or so. But I'm going to be on the air for 3 hours tomorrow. And I'm trying to see if I'm going to do is divide it, where hour 1 will be, plain title. Hour 2 will be part 2. Hour 3 will be the final part. And I could separate the hours so that I can be on longer than the 45 minute until I get my 45 minute. I get my 1 hour, my 3 hour plan when I get up to the broadcaster. And the reason I'm doing that is so that I can stay on in the one segment for an hour at least. That's what I'm doing. But right now, though, I got past the point where I would take that break again at 7:33. So I'm just kind of goofing with it a little bit to see how that would work. I might do another one online, kind of a private thing, where I can see if that would work for being on straight for an hour. Because I'm trying to see if this is going to work that way. I really would like to do it that way because I'm getting tired of 45 minutes and having to go off, and then what happens is when I get off the air, they think I'm done, and then they never come back. Okay, you're saying I have to describe myself better for time purposes when I do my show, and it feels like it is all over the place regarding time most of the time. And you probably have the upper plan. You probably have where you're on straight 3 hours, right? So you're a little different than me. You see, I'm on 45 minutes air talent, so I'm trying to stretch out the 45 minutes into an hour by being able to be on go continuous for another 15 minutes is what I'm trying to do. And I probably could just do 45 minutes, then come on for 15 minutes, and then flip over for the new hour. I could do it that way too. Basically, I could do it that way. But I like the way it was working before I was on the air and I didn't have to stop. Like I said before, when I'm blank like that for 5 minutes, I'm running commercials on my 9-foot closed circuit FM signal because I run little spots on my FM signal and then I come back on. Right, I have the 3 hour plan, so what I need to do is actually use show notes and use a clock timer. Which, yeah, I thought about that. I thought about using, I have a watch, stopwatch, on my old watch. My wristwatch has a stopwatch on it. My tablet has a stopwatch on it. And I could do it that way too, because I'm doing that because I learned from reading an article about WLS and how their disc jockeys used to rotate all their current songs. Certain currents played every hour, certain currents played every hour and a half, certain currents played every 2 hours, and they would have a stopwatch or something going it would remind them of the next time to play that song. I don't know how they did that actually, because when you really realize that you got 40 songs playing in a average of about a 4 hour show, and the DJ's playing the currents, and they want to play it every 2 hours or an hour and a half or whatever. And I guess that doesn't count requests, but I guess that's how they did that. I was reading an article about WLS. I read a lot of articles about how radio was done back in the day. So I kind of learned from that. Stuff that I did learn in the Ohio School of Broadcasting, and I lived in Ohio. So yeah, that was bizarre, that earthquake in Cleveland, because I used to live there. And I was talking about that yesterday. Good grief. If I would have been living there now, I would have been in panic mode after that quake the other day. Good grief. 4.0. And in central Pennsylvania, central PA. Now, this is like in the heart of... this is in the heart of Amish land. They had another 3.4. So we're going, holy cow, what's going on here? It's like, wow. That is quite a earthquake, if I do say so myself. Hey, my wife, I think, is calling in. Hello? Yeah, I can do that. I was just on the air briefly, that's all. I'm just checking something. Okay. Okay, love you, dear. Bye. My wife calling in, so I have to watch out for her here. So I might be going off the air here. But I just wanted to see what was going on as far as why my shows aren't being posted on Facebook. I'm not very happy with it. I've been through my share of earthquakes, 7.0, 7.1, living in Guam. They suck. And I know I might be morbid, but I am fascinated with earthquakes. I'm fascinated with tornadoes. I've always wanted to chase them. And so, I don't know, I'm one of those oddballs that I'm curious about it. Because my sister was in the 7-point quake in Downey, California in 1971. She was in that 1971 earthquake, Long Beach, when my brother-in-law was in the Navy. And she was by herself during that quake. And I can't imagine the panic there. I don't know if I'll come back or not. I'm going to see. I might, and I might not, but I'll be on the air tomorrow at 3 o'clock Central Time for the Gary Russen program. Hope you'll join me then. Got a great show lined up for you. Hope you'll tune in. Going to be talking about that. Natural disasters are fascinating from a distance. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm going to be back on the air tomorrow, and I'll be talking about that and Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who stepped down as the press secretary earlier today. So we'll be talking about that and a whole lot more. So join me tomorrow, 3 o'clock Central Time, Central Daylight, 4 o'clock Eastern, and 1 o'clock Pacific for the Gary Russen program tomorrow afternoon right here on Spreaker. I'm Gary J. Russen. Thanks a lot, Ed, for letting me know, okay? I really appreciate that. I will be back tomorrow. Have yourself a great night. We'll see you soon. This is the GJRB Online Radio Network.